Everybody's been obsessed with Chapter 3 of Poppy Playtime, but what about Chapter 2? It's like you guys have forgotten about it. So I went and did a deep analysis of it. And here's some things that you probably missed in Poppy Playtime Chapter 2. Alright, the first thing I noticed is actually in the Chapter 2 Flying Web scene. First of all, we see a room that has a machine that looks like something we saw in the molding room. Then it has two other things. We see Mommy Longlegs' arm just wrapped around like everything. This is probably after she's dead, but here's the thing. She got dragged away from the prototype. Plus, her arm isn't connected to her body anymore. And second, even though that machine is familiar, that isn't the molding room. If you watch Mob Entertainment's videos on YouTube, they did one a couple years back called 10 Lost Secrets in Poppy Playtime Chapter 2, and one of them are discards for each room you were going to go in after each challenge to create a new hand. But they said that they discarded this idea during the concept phase because it felt like unnecessary fillers. Secondly, you may only hear it 2 or 3 times, but in the tape, you hear Poppy saying wake up way more times if you listen closely.
You can stretch, pull long legs from Playtime.
Second, after the VHS tape ends, you start walking and see that the place where you came from has been blocked off. Then, you go through a door that was originally hidden by a cabinet that you could see in Chapter 1, but you couldn't go into. And if you didn't notice, it looks really heavy, so that means Poppy must be very strong if she was able to move that to get through. Also, there's a room that says Bay 09. That's actually a room you go into in the end. However, the door to get there just from the start is locked. But you do go to Bay 9. Alright, next up, the developers were really clever with this. You hear someone say this way, and right now you don't really know who it is, but we got a pretty big hint it's Poppy. Then, you hear her say, keep going. It actually comes from that side of the wall, and not just all around. Which is smart, because Poppy is found in a room to your left, which is where you hear the voice from. Next, the key to Elliot Ludwig's office, who is also the founder of Playtime Co., is shaped like a flower, a poppy flower. In case you don't remember, from Chapter 1, there was a paper saying, we're still here, find the flower. This could be referring to 2 things, Elliot Ludwig's key in the office, Poppy herself, and maybe even both. After you help Poppy with the power, you find her crawling through the vents and following you everywhere. But listen, you can hear her. Most people don't really catch this, I don't think, but just listen to her. She's humming a little melody going through the vents. And she keeps on humming that until you go into the next room. She's still humming it, guys. Here's where her humming gets interesting. She was actually humming something known as the song The 1,000-Year Melody, featuring Nola Klopp, who did some of Poppy's voices. The song consists of her just going while a music box plays the same notes behind her. Alright, next thing. After Mommy kidnaps Poppy, you come down a slide. It's actually labeled Eddie MNR, Leith Pierre, Elliot Ludwig, and Stella Graber. I'm guessing that's how you say it. Then there's one boarded off. We don't know who that belonged to, but my guess it was another Playtime Co. employee that was never mentioned. The name Stella Graber appears in some VHS tapes, and she's also the woman who voiced over the little automatic message that plays in the game station for the orphans to learn about the games that they were going to play. Her being at least a minor side character in the Poppy Playtime franchise means that she was probably one of the workers, maybe like an executive or at least a high-ranking worker or something. This next one comes after you complete musical memory by hitting the caution button when everything starts to go very crazy. Bunzo Bunny is then lifted up into the blackness, and you don't see him again in the rest of the game. Mommy says a couple things to you. Then she gives you some of the train code. And this is how we know Mommy unalived Bunzo. If you listened carefully, you could hear some commotion going on at the left side of the wall. That was probably Mommy Longlegs unaliving Bunzo because he didn't unalive us in time. But then we get a really good hint after we play Whack-A-Wuggy that she's unaliving them because of this. That commotion was way longer than the last time, which meant that she could be unaliving all the Wuggies and it would take a little longer than just unaliving Bunzo. This is probably what the Wuggies did. Next, when Kissy Missy saves you, she sort of just walks away. And if you know how fast you can go and how fast she can go, if you run under at the exact time that it will let you, she just turns the corner and disappears. Where she could have gone, I don't know. Maybe she just turned invisible. Here's another thing. When Mommy gets dragged away by the prototype, we all know that she's dead. However, the official music video for Chapter 3 shows her still alive and in the Playcare station. Mommy Longlegs is also seen with Bunzo Bunny, whom she unalived. The Wuggies are also seen in the We Want Freedom part. And that was pretty much all that I saw. But have you guys found anything else? Let me know in the comments. So long, stay so spendy, please consider subscribing.